Thank you for joining us. My name is Jeannie Alter. I am the Executive Director of the American School Health Association, and we're very pleased to have you join us today for our first webinar of 2018, Advocating for Prevention Programs in Schools, Alignment with the National Health Education Standards. We are very pleased to welcome you and introduce you if you are not familiar with the American School Health Association. As you can see on your screen, the mission of the American School Health Association is to transform schools into places where every student learns and thrives. And we envision healthy students who learn and achieve in safe and healthy environments, nurtured by caring adults and functioning within coordinated school health and community support systems. So we're very thankful for you joining us today. We also hope that you will join us in Indianapolis this October, the 4th through the 6th, for our annual conference. We expect to have a wonderful program put together for you, and we hope that you will find it very exciting and helpful for your work. Also, if you are interested in becoming a member of the American School Health Association, I just wanted to go over a few of the member benefits. We have a very highly regarded journal of school health. Again, we have a conference. We have a School Health Action, our newsletter that comes out every other week. We have continuing education to offer to our members. We have a career center. And we also have networking communities to allow members to kind of have some time to interact with each other, share information, and develop some synergy. So we hope that you will consider being a member of the association. You can visit our website at ashaweb.org if you would like some more information. I'd like to introduce our presenters for today. We're very pleased to have three wonderful people to talk with you about substance abuse prevention and alignment with the National Health Education Standards. I'll introduce them in the order of presentation. First, we have Abby Jones. She serves as an evaluation associate for the Indiana Prevention Resource Center in Bloomington, Indiana, where she assists on evaluation of 2 federal grants. And through her work with the IPRC, she's gained experience in a multitude of areas, including evaluation plan design, evaluation of program theory, data entry and analysis, and survey design. Ms. Jones holds a Bachelor of Science in Community Health from Indiana University and will very soon complete her Master of Public Health in Professional Health Education from Indiana University this May. Next, we have Dr. Tia Kim, who leads the development and evaluation of Committee for Children's Programs. She's committed to enhancing their quality, effectiveness, and reach through innovation, partnerships, and rigorous continuous improvement processes to achieve maximum impact. Tia received her doctorate in developmental psychology at the University of California, Riverside, and completed 3 years of postdoctoral training at the Academic Center of Excellence on Youth Violence Prevention, where her research focused on the etiology of prevention of youth violence and aggression. And finally, we have Dr. Chudley Werch, who was raised in rural Wisconsin, where he experienced alcohol and drug use as a normal part of daily living. He received his PhD from the University of Wisconsin-Madison in 1983 and began his career in addictions prevention, education, research, and writing. He has held several tenured academic positions and retired to found Prevention Plus Wellness LLC, where he serves as president. Dr. Werch created 4 nationally recognized evidence-based substance abuse programs. He lives in Jacksonville, Florida, with Lauren, his wife of 34 years, and has 3 adult children. Thank you all for being here and being available to share information with the participants today. I am going to turn it over to our first presenter, Abby Jones. And just by way of overview, we're going to talk a little bit about kind of an introduction to the alignment between substance abuse prevention programs and the National Health Education Standards. Then we'll move on to an overview of Second Step, an overview of Sport Prevention Plus Wellness, and then we will have some time for questions and answers. As a reminder, I will pause between each section and allow folks to chat any questions or comments within the chat box, and I'll bring them forward to our presenters. So, Abby, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you are, everyone. As Jeannie mentioned, my name is Abby Jones, and I'm an evaluation associate at the Indiana Prevention Resource Center in Bloomington, Indiana. So I'm here to talk to you today briefly about the importance of substance abuse prevention, especially in school settings, and how program alignment can be used as justification for implementing prevention programs in schools. So substance abuse continues to be a significant issue among youth. Abuse typically begins in adolescence and rises through high school. This was most recently proven by the Monitoring the Future survey results. Marijuana use rose from 10.1% among 8th grade students to 37.1% in 12th grade students, and this was in 2017, so that's the most recent data that we have. Similar trends are seen with vaping, cigarette smoking, and alcohol use, among other substances. Youth who begin using substances early are more likely to continue to have these problems into adulthood. And while it may seem early to some, intervening during school age years, even starting as early as kindergarten, can prevent substance use and put students on a path for success in their school and personal lives, lasting well into adulthood. Substance abuse prevention programs have been developed for all grades to address prevention at age-appropriate levels. So we'll talk a little bit about risk factors here. Risk factors are those in a person's life that may put them at higher risk for a multitude of problems. So as you can see here, risk factors can not only predict substance abuse, but they can also predict other risks for substance abuse, including delinquency, school dropout, violence, and poor mental health, depression and anxiety specifically. By targeting risk factors and evidence-based prevention programs, risk factors may decrease and protective factors may increase, which can lower the risk of substance abuse among youth and adults.
Abby, could you please repeat what that survey was that you cited?
Yes, it was the Monitoring the Future survey, which looks at substance abuse risk and protective factors and prevalence throughout the nation, I believe. Yes. So schools can play an important role in providing substance abuse prevention to youth. The article that I cited here highlighted the importance of schools in the prevention process in a 2011 article. As stated on the slide, no community institution has as much contact with youth as schools do. Faculty and staff may have more interaction with youth than their parents do during the week. With so much interaction between students, faculty, and staff, and since students spend upwards of 6 hours a day in school every day during the work week, schools are a logical place to implement such programs. However, not just any prevention program is appropriate. Universal prevention programs are designed to reach an entire population of students. These programs can be implemented in schools without any consideration of individual risk factors students may be experiencing. Selected prevention programs are designed to reach subgroups of students who have been determined to be at an elevated risk for substance abuse. Both of these program types are shown to reduce alcohol use among youth, as well as increase protective factors such as social competence, therefore reducing risk. Both types of prevention programs would be appropriate to implement in school settings. It's also important to note that prevention programs can be evidence-based. Evidence-based prevention programs are those that have been shown to be effective in research studies. Additionally, evidence-based programs are often proven to be effective through multiple replications of the program with consistent results over time. The programs we will learn about today are both evidence-based and have research backing their results. And in order to advocate for prevention programs in schools, program alignment with a set of standards can be used. By aligning programs with education standards, not only will youth gain valuable substance abuse prevention knowledge, skills, and attitudes, they will also be learning content that aligns with education needs of local, state, and federal guidelines. In the presentation, we will be discussing alignment with the National Health Education Standards, but prevention programs have been created to align with other sets of standards as well. A 2004 article highlighted the successes and challenges of creating a substance abuse prevention education curriculum to be used in schools. The authors of the article stressed the importance of program alignment with state and local education guidelines. The authors met with educators during the program planning process to discuss their needs. Probably not surprisingly, all of the educators interviewed indicated the need for alignment. Educators emphasized there are only so many hours in the school day, and there is always certain content that has to be taught in order to comply with education standards. By aligning substance abuse prevention with education standards, educators are able to teach prevention content and address these standards at the same time. Additionally, a 2012 article outlined the creation of an alcohol abuse education curriculum. The curriculum was created in accordance with the National Science Content Standards. Through the program, students not only received appropriate health messages about the risks of alcohol abuse, but were also given science lessons that aligned with national standards. So in summary, program alignment can serve as a key tool in securing prevention program implementation in schools.
Terrific, thank you, Abby. Let's take just a moment. Feel free to type any questions, comments within the chat box, and we'll address those momentarily. Okay, so we have a question. Will we be able to have a copy of the PowerPoint? We will post a copy of the PowerPoint on the ASHA website, as well as a recording of this webinar as well, so absolutely. There is also another question, will you discuss the life skills program? I know that Abby has done a lot of work in aligning, looking through the different substance use or substance abuse prevention curricula, particularly evidence-based curriculum, and we will actually address life skills. She can look up life skills, and we can answer that, answer some questions about that at the very end, to give her a moment to find that. Any other questions before we move on? Okay, terrific. Again, we'll have some time at the end for more questions. But right now, I would like to turn it over to Dr. Kim to talk to us about Second Step.
Hi, great, thank you. I'm so glad to be with all of you today. I'm going to talk a little bit about our Second Step program and particularly how it aligns to the National Health Standards. Thanks for the great introduction earlier. As she said earlier, my name is Tia Kim. I am from the Committee for Children. For those of you that don't know, Committee for Children is a nonprofit organization with the mission of helping children thrive in school and in life through social and emotional development. We're based in Seattle, Washington. We've been supporting social and emotional learning, bullying prevention, and child protection for almost 40 years. And currently we reach more than 10 million children globally every year with, in particular with our Second Step program, which is the social emotional learning program. Today I'm going to talk to you and give you a really brief overview about our elementary second step program, and then our middle school program, and then again how it aligns to the national health standards. So the second step program at a really high level is a universal classroom-based curriculum. It's designed to increase students' school success and decrease problem behaviors by promoting social emotional competence and self-regulation. It teaches skills that strengthen students' ability to learn, have empathy, manage emotions, and solve problems. The program targets key risk and protective factors linked to a range of problems. Go to the next slide. The second step program has been rigorously evaluated in multiple different randomized control trials. For instance, our elementary school program just underwent a 4-year randomized control trial in both the states of Washington and Arizona. And what they found over a 1-year period with 7,300 students from kindergarten to second grade was that there were significant improvements in social emotional competence and behavior, particularly with children that started the school year with skill deficits in these areas. So we really have a mission to make sure that the programs we put out there have some evidence around its effectiveness. Can we get to the next slide, please? Thanks. So our elementary second step program, the program has, depending on the grade, it goes from early learning, so pre-kindergarten, to grade 5. There are several different units that go over different skills. So there's skills for learning, which essentially focuses on listening and focusing attention, and also teaches some executive function related skills. Our empathy unit is really about understanding people, different perspectives, and having empathy. There's an emotion management unit that really is about identifying and understanding your feelings, and also understanding how to manage difficult or very strong feelings or emotions, and then gives them some strategies to help calm down. And then there is a problem solving unit that focuses on decision making and problem solving. The lessons are typically very short. They take about 20 to 25 minutes to teach. They're very engaging, interactive for students. The lessons are completely scripted for teachers, which means that it takes very little teacher prep time to actually teach the lessons. And along with the lessons, there are full Spanish translations of all the lessons, a ton of staff training resources, teaching and implementation tools to help with implementation, either planning or rollout for a district or a school. And there are also resources around family communications, some summative assessments, and we recently have streaming media related to our programs because our programs are very rich in media in terms of pictures and videos. Our middle school second step program just went all digital this fall. And again, there are 4 units that cover different topics. The all digital program is about 25 to 26 lessons, 6th grade through 8th grades, again, spread across 4 units. Unit 1 covers mindsets and goals. This is a unit where students develop a growth mindset and learn research-based strategies for achieving their goals. The lessons can be applied to social and academic aspects of their lives. The second unit about values and friendships, it helps students learn to make decisions based on their personal values and build strong friendships and relationships while avoiding negative ones. Unit 3 is about thoughts, emotions, and decisions. In this unit, students are taught the relationship between thoughts, emotions, and decisions, and they also learn strategies for staying in control when they're experiencing really strong emotions. And the last unit, Unit 4, covers serious peer conflicts. Students are taught how to identify, avoid, and resolve serious conflicts, and they also learn strategies to prevent bullying and harassment. There are also over 150 scripted advisory activities, because we realize that many middle schools in our country will actually teach a social emotional learning program during the advisory time, and so we wanted to be able to provide some additional activities beyond the lessons that folks could use during this advisory time. So some of the advisory time activities are, class meetings, some class challenges and activities, and some also service learning related projects. There's also professional learning opportunities that are provided in the program. There are 5 modular learning experiences that help to bolster educators' own social emotional skills and offer strategies for encouraging SEL in the classroom. And then there is also for administrators a principal toolkit that adds support to the important function of implementation. It provides implementation tools and an online dashboard that they can easily keep tabs on the program's usage and success within the school building. And then, of course, there are also other resources such as family communications, on-demand tutorials, and other academic resources and summative assessments as well. And then both our elementary and middle school program align with several of the National Health Education Standards. So I just wanted to highlight some of those. So for our elementary program, it teaches skills within both Standard 4, ability to use interpersonal communication skills, and Standard 5, the ability to use decision-making skills. And in our middle school program, it teaches skills within, again, Standard 4 and 5, like the elementary school program, but it also teaches some skills within Standard 6, which is students will demonstrate the ability to use goal-setting skills to enhance health. And then there are also a couple provisions in ESSA where implementing SEL could fit in and be funded. I really like this table taken from a recent report from RAND that I think highlights where you could find funding within different ESSA opportunities. Where social emotional learning really fits in nicely. And so I just kind of highlighted that in terms of within Title I, Title II, and Title IV. And that's it. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them about the program.
Hi, Tia. We have a question from Katie asking, has this program been used at any non-public schools?
Yeah, the program has been used at private schools and at charter schools and public schools, obviously. We're in about, we have a very large scale and reach of, particularly of our elementary school program. So it's being currently implemented in about 30% in the United States.
Thank you, Caitlin. Apparently I was muted and I was talking. Another question. At a brief glance, it looked like most of the funding opportunities were directly through the school. Are you, Dr. Kim, aware of any options for nonprofits that provide services to schools?
That's a really interesting question. You know, most of the work that we do is directly with schools and districts, but I do know that there are a lot of nonprofits that will go into the schools and provide, like, will purchase our programs and then provide the services or the teaching within the school, but I'm not sure where they get their funding from.
Just to add a piece to that, I know within Indiana, there are some foundations, like the Fairbanks Foundation, who offers funding to schools who oftentimes will then use an outside, maybe community agency to deliver curricula within their schools. So foundations might be a nice place to look for those kinds of funding opportunities. What sorts of high school social and emotional learning have you found to be proven effective? Dr. Kim, do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, that's another really great question. I think it's an area where there is probably the least amount of research to find evidence-based program. You know, really good resource for that is CASEL. They're the Collaborative on Academic and Social Emotional Learning. They're based in Chicago. They're a nonprofit. If you actually go on their website, they have a really great list of evidence-based programs for preschool, so pre-K, preschool, and then they also have a list for elementary schools and then also for middle and high schools. And so on their list, they'll have a couple of programs listed on there. One that comes to mind is Facing Histories in Ourselves. There's been a lot of great evidence around that. It's more history-based, but it does touch on some of these social emotional skills. And there are a couple other good programs on there as well that aren't coming totally to my mind at the moment.
Terrific, thank you. Has the program been shown to support ATOD risk prevention behaviors?
In our elementary school program, you know, the program wasn't designed to immediately affect those behaviors. The way we think about it is that you're teaching some foundational social and emotional skills that will hopefully be a preventative mechanism to prevent them from participating in those behaviors. We haven't actually studied if that's actually the case.
Is second step on NREP?
Yes, it is. Okay.
And if there are representatives from Pennsylvania schools on the call, Tammy Taylor encourages them to reach out to their local single county authorities as they are contracted with the Department of Drug and Alcohol Programs to provide evidence-based programs free of charge to the districts. Terrific. Thank you, Tammy. That's a wonderful suggestion. And to clarify, the program demonstrates violence prevention supports. Are they also specific to ATOD?
They're not specific to that, no.
Okay, and just to clarify, CASEL is CASEL.org.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so keep thinking of questions and comments. That's terrific. Thank you so much. And thank you, Dr. Kim. We will move on to Dr. Werch to talk to us about sport prevention plus wellness. Dr. Werch.
Hi, everyone. So it's my pleasure to be here with you today, and I want to take just a second to thank American School Health Association for inviting me to participate and giving me a chance to meet all the good people at ASHA and having an opportunity to also listen in and hear about the fascinating work about the Second Step program, which certainly sounds like an outstanding one. I'll be focusing today on the topic of practical evidence-based prevention plus wellness programs for schools and other settings as well. So we had a great introduction about the problem of risk factors among young people in the United States and elsewhere. But I wanted to highlight just a couple things and add to that. So you can see in the left-hand column, young people, and by young people I'm talking about particularly adolescents and young adults, but starting with childhood and all the way through young adulthood, the risk increases for substance use and addictions. And then in the right-hand column, we also have other types of risk factors, those that might be classified as associated with chronic disease development over time. So the point I wanted to make is that you'll see these risk factors among young people and the percentages in various populations, whether it's national or regional, statewide, or whatever, even local. But the point I wanted to highlight is that it is common for individual adolescents to experience multiple coexisting youth risks. So that is 2 or 3 or even more of these risk factors which can interact and exacerbate health risks for young people. So that the notion of coexisting risks, I think, is sometimes lost in the discussion. And so I just wanted to highlight that for you. So a solution that we propose is to integrate substance use prevention with fitness and health promotion because of the associations between addictions or substance use risks as well as the chronic disease risks. The practical prevention plus wellness programs that we offer, the evidence-based programs, are the sport prevention plus wellness program that we'll be highlighting today. That's for older as well as young adolescents and children. And the InShape prevention plus wellness program, which is will not be highlighting today, but is a parallel program. It's for college students and other young adults. So the sport prevention plus wellness program is the only single session prevention with wellness program. And you can see by these bulleted content, this little overview, it's a single session program. It's under 60 minutes and actually usually takes closer to 30 to 40 minutes to implement it. The published research in the literature of rigorous controlled trials show that the sports single session intervention significantly prevents or reduces alcohol use, binge drinking, tobacco consumption, and marijuana use, as well as risk factors associated with those substances, and significantly increases physical activity and parent-youth communication around the topic of prevention. The Sport Prevention Plus Wellness Program encourages physical activity, sports participation, healthy nutrition, sleep, and stress control. Sport Prevention Plus Wellness, or PPW, is evidence-based, as we've discussed with today's topic. It is single session, as I mentioned already. There are scripts or protocols in the program manuals to implement sport as a one-on-one or an individual, highly tailored communication, as well as in a group setting. Sport is unlike other educational programs in the fact that it's really a screening and brief intervention. So it's really designed to motivate young people to think about their current health habits and then to set goals to improve them. And it does this by cueing positive images that young people have of their peers and of desired future selves engaged in the target health behaviors, which again are physical activity and sports, healthy eating, sleep, and controlling stress. For that reason, the Sport Prevention Plus Wellness Program is a multi-health behavior, strength-based approach. It also includes optional parent materials, and there are 3 versions, which we'll be talking about in just a moment. The underlying conceptual model or framework for the sport program, as well as all of our Prevention Plus Wellness programs, is the Behavior Image Model, or BIM. And BIM is a conceptual roadmap for developing brief programs that integrate wellness promotion with substance use prevention. There's 2 components to the behavior image model. The first is this notion of all of us having positive images, again, of peers and of future desired selves. And by cueing them or triggering those images, we can increase motivation to change our current health habits. And then secondly, which is the action phase, is to engage young people in setting goals, specifically multiple goals, not just to avoid substance use, but also to increase 1 or more health and fitness habits, thereby increasing self-control or self-regulation skills. The screening and brief intervention of sport and all of our prevention plus wellness programs include 3 steps. The first step is to quickly screen youth current health habits using a screening survey. This is a self-administered survey. Usually it takes only 2 or 3 minutes. The second step is to provide feedback to the youth and positive image messages using a scripted protocol as well as PowerPoint slides. And this feedback, again, is particularly tailored to the youth's responses to the screening survey. And the third step is to walk students or young people through setting and monitoring goals, not only to avoid substance use, but to increase one or more healthy habits. The Sport Prevention Plus Wellness manuals include an introductory letter, directions, step-by-step directions for implementation, an individual youth intervention script and other materials, a group script if you want to provide the program in a classroom, evaluation materials in terms of both process, fidelity, and outcome evaluation, and follow-up parent flyers. There's actually a letter and 4 weekly flyers, and youth parent web-based resources. And to the right, you can see an illustration of the blue version of the manual for high school, the green for middle school, and the red for children. The Sport Prevention Plus Wellness program also includes digital downloads, so you'll get a link and you can click on that link and you'll have access to the PowerPoint slides with the slides showing key image terms and illustrations of young people engaged in these healthy behaviors, highlighting and modeling different types of physical activity, healthy eating, that type of thing, showing models and allowing young people to see themselves in those models. And then there'll be a PDF document or documents providing those materials that are reproducible, that need to be made copies of so that you can implement the program. And then you can implement this program to a countless number of young people. There's no limit to this once you have the manual with the script in it and you have the digital download. So the materials include screening survey and goal plans, the parent flyers and web-based resources, the evaluation materials, and all of those things are available to you to copy onto your computer and then to make as many copies that you need depending on the number of young people you implement the sport program to. So sport as well as InShape Prevention Plus Wellness programs are on a number of evidence-based databases, NREP, the National Registry of Evidence-Based Programs and Practices, as well as these are just a partial list of some of those evidence-based databases. In other words, it's research has been published, and then what typically happens is that one or more of these evidence-based databases sees this research, or you could submit to the database and then it'll post it. But the key thing I'd like to highlight is that it all starts first with a well-controlled evaluation that shows positive outcomes, and in most cases these outcomes and the study design and so forth are presented in refereed published articles. We also provide training, which is very important to understanding this unique model, because I think most professionals and school teachers in school are trained and understand and are experts in various educational models, but this screening and brief intervention may be unique to them. So we found a training to be very important to understanding the model, and not just that, but also developing the skills and the confidence to implement the sport program. So we do provide training for health, fitness, health education professionals, and also there's a number of organizations that have had us, and we offer youth leadership training. So we train youth leaders, for an example, training junior seniors in high school, and then they're trained as implementers as a part of a youth leadership workshop, and then they provide the sport program to their younger peers. So there's different combinations of providing this type of very unique evidence-based training of young people and then having them be not just role models, but actual coaches or teachers and providing sport to their peers. And so we have 4 to 5 hour certified program implementer training, and a 6 to 8 hour youth leadership training, certified training of trainers, and in fact, the certified program implementer and training of trainers can be conducted in a single day. And these trainings come with 3-year certifications. And we're trying to make this, emphasize the importance of this. So for that reason, we generally don't charge travel costs. In some cases, we don't even charge training costs. Just if there's a purchasing of the program manuals, we'll come and do the training for you. And we're also opening it up to provide the first 30 minutes to an hour, in some cases even a couple of hours, allowing the region or the state to attend at no cost to better understand the programs that we provide. And particularly, we're focusing on the sport and in-shape prevention plus wellness programs because they're evidence-based, but all of our other prevention plus wellness programs are evidence-informed. That is, that they're founded on these original evidence-based programs. And prevention plus wellness programs are in all 50 states and in some other countries. And you could see the specific settings where this single session program sport is being implemented, and in various types of classes like health and physical education, science, citizenship, after school programs, at school, community, and college athletics. Sometimes sport is being used in lieu of school suspension. Youth groups and services in schools, recreation and youth camps, intervention for high-risk or substance-using youth and young adults, sports and annual physicals, as well as health clinics and pediatrics settings. So now let me go through very quickly the 7 national health education standards that are addressed by the Sport Prevention Plus Wellness program. So the first standard is that students will be able to comprehend concepts related to health promotion and disease prevention, which is believed to be important to enhancing health and sport by using the scripted program content and also the accompanying PowerPoint slides, communicates 2 key lessons that are essential to that standard. First of all, number 1, how health promotion behaviors enhance health, fitness, and wellness outcomes and positive self-image. And then secondly, how risky substance use habits interfere with those goals and harm healthy behavior and self-identity development. A second standard that's addressed, a standard of the National Health Education by the Sport Prevention Plus Wellness program, is that students will analyze the influence of these factors, family, peers, culture, media, technology, and others on the effect of health behaviors. And in fact, the sport program has youth think about peers, parents, media, norms, self-images, and health risk habits, and how those can influence their health habits, their health, and their health-related decision-making. The third national health education standard addressed by sport is that students will demonstrate the ability to access valid information, products, and services to enhance their health. And the sport program does this in 2 particular ways. First of all, Sport Prevention Plus Wellness includes valid and reliable web-based health resources for students and parents. And secondly, these resources target the health topics addressed in the sport program. So we have a number of options of web-based resources and descriptions of them, and of course a web link so that you could access additional information. And this information is grouped around these topics of physical activity and sports, healthy eating, getting adequate sleep, controlling stress, and avoiding alcohol, tobacco, and illicit substance use. So these resources, these web-based resources, are a further group for parents aimed at helping their kids in those particular areas, as well as the adolescents. So there's 2 groups of web-based research for the parents and for the young people participating in sport, and they're grouped in those 5 categories. The 4th National Health Education Standard is students will demonstrate the ability to use interpersonal communication skills to enhance health and avoid or reduce health risks. And the sport accomplishes this in 3 ways. Number 1, it addresses substance use refusal skills. Number 2, it includes a series of parent flyers, as I mentioned before, which in a separate study has shown to increase parent-youth communication about prevention and health issues. And thirdly, youth can learn and demonstrate communication skills, teaching and coaching skills to implement the sport program in the Prevention Plus Wellness Youth Leadership Training Workshop. So depending on how you implement the Sport Prevention Plus Wellness program and who is trained, whether it's health educators or prevention specialists, or whether it's youth leaders. And by youth leaders, we have some organizations that are training, typical high achieving, naturally, considered youth leaders. And in some cases, they're higher risk youth, so that these individuals, these young people receive the program, and then they turn around and have to be good role models and implement it to their peers, so they actually get a second dose of programming, and that could be very powerful for those high-risk kids. A 5th standard, health education standard addressed by sport, is students will demonstrate the ability to use decision-making skills to enhance their health. So sport assesses the current health behaviors of young people and provides them with tailored feedback. And this gets them to, again, think about where they're at with regard to their health habits and whether they're satisfied with those. And this process increases student awareness of peer and future desired self-images as values for decision-making. For which health-promoting behaviors to increase and which risky substance use habits to avoid or reduce. Standard 6 in the health education standards, the students will demonstrate the ability to use goal-setting skills. And in the sport program and all of our Prevention Plus Wellness programs, youth make a public commitment to set and monitor 2 types of goals. The first, to avoid marijuana, alcohol, tobacco, and other illicit substance use, and then secondly, to increase one or more health-promoting behaviors. And again, typically these will focus on the content that's addressed in the sport program, physical activity or sports or healthy nutrition, sleep, or stress control. And the last standard that the Sport Prevention Plus Wellness program addresses is a demonstration of ability to practice health-enhancing behaviors and avoid or reduce health risk habits. And again, all Prevention Plus Wellness programs do 2 things. They have youth analyze the role of individual responsibility for improving and protecting their health, and then secondly, demonstrating the connections between a variety of healthy and risk behaviors and how both types of behaviors are associated with enhanced health, but also positive self-identity development and success in the future. And all this, you can find out more from our website, preventionpluswellness.com. I would encourage you to scroll down to the bottom of the home page, because we've got some really good health resources. Even if you don't use the sport or any of our Prevention Plus Wellness programs, there's some good tools on the bottom of our page, and on the top of our home page, there's a news section. So there's some really good blogs. So for those of you interested in learning more about the integration and the relationship between substance use and its prevention and the promotion of health and fitness and wellness, you might want to sign up for our weekly email blast. That's it. Thank you so much.
Terrific. Thank you, Dr. Werch. I want to give you all an opportunity to ask any questions, whether it be about Sport Prevention Plus Wellness or any of the other topics we've discussed today. I do want to point out that there were a couple of questions, one about where we can find more information about training for health education professionals. and where these trainings are held. Dr. Werch, I put in the chat box a link to your page that talks about training, but did you have anything else you wanted to add about the training piece?
Yes, because we have different levels of training. So we will provide free webinars every month, and in fact, again, on the bottom of our homepage, there's actually a link to the webinars that we provide. So we'll pick a webinar based on the feedback we get from individuals who visit our website and their interests. And we can also present those webinars to organizations. If you have a group of people, we're happy to provide those. And those webinars, again, are at least on a monthly basis, and those are free to the public. And then the training that we provide training in different settings. We'll provide it for a particular organization that invites us to come train. A second level of training is if you host a training for your region or state, the benefits are that you'll get your organization's program implementer training at no cost. And so it's a great opportunity to see if there's an interest in training at either the program implementer level or the training of trainer level. And actually we typically provide a one-day training for both of those. And that could be in all three levels of sport: high school, middle school, and elementary. And it can even include the InShape program for college students. So that's the second level, a regional training, where if you host it, and we have a link on our website for that, if you host the training, the host organization benefits from that. And then together we can do some social marketing and emailing and see what the interest is for having that kind of a training in the region. And we do trainings for as few as 6 or 8 people, and as many as, well, there is no limit actually to the number of people we can train. And then the third level of training is we can provide a training at a conference, a regional or state conference. And so that first part of the training, and this is the case also for any kind of a training, the first part of the training, that first 30 to 60 minutes, we can open that up to the entire community for free, just so they get an introduction into prevention plus wellness programs, particularly sport and InShape. They learn a little bit more about them as you have today, for those of you that are listening. And then after that, we go on to train those that are program implementers to get them certified to implement for 3 years. And then after that, to train the trainers. So again, it's a very efficient one-day training. And that could be either of specialists, of health and prevention specialists, or it could also include groups of peers. So again, it could include a group of 2 or 3 or 5 young people with their supervising adult for those youth that want to be trained as leaders in providing the sport or InShape prevention plus wellness program to their peers.
Terrific, thank you. There's a question that says, knowing that the principles of effectiveness in regards to substance abuse state that prevention needs to be consistent, regularly timed, et cetera, in order to be effective, do you have evidence that the one-time approach truly has long-term results?
That's a great question, because that's typically that's one of the barriers that comes up with people. They find it hard to believe that a single session program could be effective. But let me just say a couple of things about that. First of all, that's not entirely true, because I think the greatest amount of literature in effective intervention focuses on brief interventions, BI, or screening and brief interventions, whether it be our model that we use, or whether it be a whole host of other, motivational interviewing, or, SAMHSA's screening, brief intervention, referral to treatment. These approaches, while they're brief and can be even a single session, are extremely powerful for the purposes that they're used for, which is motivating change. And then when you have the addition of the goal setting, which is a proven and proven by research, I should say, effective strategy for eliciting change, you've got a very powerful approach. And it's very cost effective and it's very practical. So that's really what we're all about, is trying to find things that could be implemented with all the demands of schools and other time sensitive settings where young people are. So in addition to that, we do have some empirical evidence of that. We had we have a couple of studies where we did 1-year follow-up. So most of our studies, there's 3-month to 4-month follow-up, very strong effects. And then we had a couple of studies, one with sport and one with InShape, and even a year later, there remained to be some powerful effects. There was a weakening of effects from 3 months to 12 months, but still there were effects. So we don't believe that, the idea behind a brief intervention is one that, here's how we think of it. We think of it as sort of an inoculation for young people against common risk habits in their lives and for today's youth. So it's like a flu shot, hopefully more effective than this year's flu shot, but it can be very effective in not just increasing healthy habits, but reducing those substance use habits. And all young people should have an opportunity to stop and think about their current health habits, and also to be given the skills and opportunity to set goals to improve their lives. And we know that goal setting is a very time tested and research supported strategy for successful people. Whether that be, those that are trying to change their health habits or career-wise or relationships or whatever the case might be. So setting goals is very important. So there's some evidence that the sport program has effects even a year later. And the interesting thing about that study that I'm citing, and you could read that on more about that on our website, is that the effect sizes for a year later for those adolescents that were already using substances were actually larger than they were for the general population of youth. So that's why sport is being used as both a universal prevention intervention, but also being used for high risk youth. So I would agree with the person who raised this question. Generally speaking, if you're talking about health, physical and mental health, you're talking about education. I think the majority of the evidence-based programs, the very good Second Step program, or someone raised the issue of life skills training, which is actually 12 weeks. Those programs very effective, but they are multi-session, so they do require more resources, more training, maybe more cost, and certainly more of a cost for time. That said, I can't be more supportive for like a program like Second Step, especially for elementary settings for kids. My wife's a special ed teacher. I can very much appreciate the importance of addressing problem behaviors and getting kids the social emotional skills, particularly starting very early in life. So yes, I understand the concern, but from an empirical standpoint, you could read the research and you could see very strong effects. Again, some of them lasting a year later. Will the effects last 5 years? Maybe, but I doubt it, and that's why we recommend annual re-implementations of the sport program. You've got the manual, you've got the downloads, you can implement it. Some schools implement it every semester, some every year. It depends on their access to kids. And it all depends on whether it's implemented by, in PE or health or after school or at school break or by peers and so forth.
Thank you, Dr. Werch.
Mm-hmm.
In the interest of time, let's take one more quick question, and this is for Dr. Kim. Valerie noted that she was contacted this morning by an assistant superintendent looking for an anti-bullying curricula. Would you suggest Second Step for anti-bullying?
Yeah, I think, if you look at a lot of the research, it shows that teaching social emotional skills are really foundational to bullying prevention. So you could, teach a social emotional learning program to teach those skills to help prevent some of the bullying behaviors. We also have a second step bullying prevention unit that's just an additional 5 lessons. So where a lot of schools will teach our second step program, the foundational program, and then add on the bullying prevention unit, which is more specifically around how to refuse the behavior, how to report it appropriately, how to be a really good bystander, because that's really important from the research. So there's a couple of options there.
Terrific, thank you. Well, I want to thank everyone for participating today. You gave us some wonderful thoughts and comments and questions in the chat box, so I thank you so much for that. I want to remind you that we will post the slides, the recording, and we also have a resource that we can also provide that shows the alignment of some evidence-based substance abuse prevention curricula, including life skills, and how they align with the National Health Education Standards. I also put in the chat box a link to Life Skills and their website and where they show their alignment. We will have all of this available on our website. If you see the chat box, there's a direct link there. We also want to remind you to please consider coming to Indianapolis and joining us, and we can dive into these topics a little bit more. We are going to put in the chat box an evaluation for this webinar. We really appreciate your feedback. And if you are seeking continuing education units, this is your first step as well. Within that, you can let us know if you would like continuing education through NCHEC, so that would be CHES or MCHES. We are also offering CNEs through NAPNAP, and we're also offering a participation certificate should you have another type of certification that you would like to claim the continuing education for. As a reminder, the CEs are available to members for free. There is a charge for non-members. And please consider becoming a member of ASHA as well. We are so thankful and grateful for our wonderful presenters today, Abby Jones, Dr. Tia Kim, and Dr. Chudley Werch. Thank you so much for your participation, and thank you so much for joining us today. Have a wonderful day.